You see steel literally everywhere, every single day. But what if I told you that inside every one of those steel beams and car doors, there's a hidden universe, a secret, microscopic world that decides whether that steel will hold up a skyscraper or shatter like glass? Well, today, we're cracking the code and taking a look inside.
I mean, it is truly the backbone of our society, right? From the buildings we're in right now to the cars that get us to work, steel is this silent, strong partner that makes everything possible. It's so common, it's actually really easy to forget it's even there.
But here's the thing that's always fascinated me. Not all steel is created equal. So what's the secret? What's that hidden factor that makes one piece tough as nails and another so brittle it could just snap? It's not about what you add to it, it's about what you do to it. To get to the bottom of this, we have to go on a little journey. We need to zoom in, I mean way, way in, past anything our eyes can see, and enter this incredibly complex and honestly beautiful microscopic world. And here we are. Look at that. This incredible, intricate pattern is what's called steel's microstructure. It is literally a hidden universe of tiny crystals, and the way they're all arranged, well, that dictates absolutely everything about the steel. Its strength, its toughness, its entire personality. Now, this might look like random chaos, but it's not. It's a blueprint. Every one of these different shapes and patterns is a unique arrangement of atoms, what scientists call a phase. You can think of them like different Lego bricks. How you click them together determines what you're going to build in the end. So how do you get all these different building blocks? Well, it all comes down to the recipe. And for steel, the two most important ingredients are heat and time. It is all about how you cook it, and maybe even more importantly, how you cool it down. And you really have two main paths you can take. If you cool the steel down nice and slow, the atoms have time to kind of chill out, move around, and arrange themselves into these neat, orderly structures. That's a reconstructive process. But if you cool it down super fast, you quench it, you trigger a displacive process. The atoms are basically flash frozen right where they are, creating this chaotic, high-energy arrangement. So, if you follow that slow and steady path, you get this, big, chunky grains called ferrite. Because all those atoms had time to get organized, this structure is pretty soft and ductile. That means it can bend and stretch without breaking. So it's flexible, but it's not your strongest option. But if we slam on the brakes and cool it rapidly, we get this. It's a fine, needle-like structure called Martensite. Here, the atoms are trapped in that chaotic, super stressed state. And that makes the steel incredibly hard and strong, but also a lot more brittle. It's amazing, right? Just by changing the cooling rate, we've made two totally different materials. Okay, so now that we've got the basics of the recipe down, let's meet the main cast of characters that you'll find in this microscopic world. Think of this as your field guide to steel's inner zoo. First up, we have Pearlite. And it actually gets its name because its alternating layers can shimmer a bit like mother of pearl. It's made of layers of that soft ferrite we just met and a really hard compound called cementite. That combination gives it a nice balance of strength and ductility, a good, solid all-arounder. Next, we've got Widmanstätten ferrite. This one grows in these very distinct colonies of coarse, parallel plates. This structure can sometimes be a bit of a problem, making steel weaker and more likely to crack. So it's one that engineers often try to steer clear of. And then there's Bainite. It forms as these interlocking bundles of very, very fine plates. Now, this structure is highly desirable. It's both really strong and really tough. It resists both bending and breaking. But, as we're about to see, its shape-shifting nature makes it notoriously difficult to identify.
And this is where our story gets complicated. Because we've met all the characters, but sometimes they like to wear disguises. So welcome to steel's identity crisis.
All right, take a look at this. On the left, you've got that Widmanstätten ferrite we want to avoid. And on the right, the super desirable Bainite. They both have these plate-like features, right? But one can lead to failure, and the other leads to superior performance. Can you spot the crucial difference? It's really tricky. And look, this is not just some academic game of spot the difference. If you can't tell for sure what's inside your steel, you can't predict how it's going to behave. Will it hold up, or will it fail? That uncertainty is a massive roadblock, preventing us from designing the next generation of stronger, lighter, safer materials. So what makes this so ridiculously hard? Well, for starters, different recipes can sometimes create structures that look almost identical. Plus, remember, we're looking at a flat, 2D slice of a complex 3D world, which can be super misleading. And to top it all off, the real-world cooling process often blurs the lines between all these different types. This is where the real breakthrough happens. Scientists realized they couldn't just rely on what these things look like. They needed a new system, a kind of universal language to crack steel's code once and for all.
And the solution here isn't just about slapping new labels on things. No, it's about creating a system that's based on the underlying physics, on how these structures actually come into being. It's a fundamental shift from just what does it look like to how was it made.
And the approach they took was just incredibly logical. First, researchers went back and reviewed all the old systems to figure out exactly where the confusion was coming from. From there, they proposed new terms based on how things form. And then finally, they developed clear flowcharts to guide scientists to a consistent answer every single time.
All of this work is in service of what's pretty much the holy grail of material science, the microstructure-property relationship. That is the fundamental link between that hidden world under the microscope and the real-world properties we actually care about, like strength and toughness. And to build those powerful relationships, the new scheme zeroes in on correctly identifying the 5 main players in our story: primary ferrite, Pearlite, Widmanstätten ferrite, Bainite, and of course, Martensite. If we can get these right every time, we can finally start to engineer steel from the atoms up.
As the original researcher, Thewlis, put it so well, this new framework provides the tools we need to build reliable databases and models. In other words, it creates the very foundation for the next wave of materials science.
So, we've gone from the everyday world all the way down to the microscopic, we've uncovered a hidden identity crisis, and we've found a new language to solve it. And that leaves us with one final and, I think, really exciting question. Now that we can finally read this secret language written inside steel, what incredible new stories and structures are we going to build with it?